This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewett, and today it's time for Helldivers to return to Hellpods as we break down the weapons of Helldivers 2.
Classic Helldivers nonsense.
Yeah, we discovered something about this.
Oh, wow! Now this is experimental, this is science right here.
That's what we were doing. We weren't messing about, we were doing science. My arm! If you're watching this the weekend it's uploaded, then that means this is the last weekend where you can join our Patreon for half price. Using code SUMMER when signing up to our Patreon gets you access to over 25 other extended episodes, as well as early access to our upcoming Terminator 2 episode, all for half off. We recorded this episode before the announcement of the ODST war bond, but fear not, I'm sure we will cover those weapons in a future episode. But now, without further ado, I will throw it over to Jonathan.
Now I haven't played this for a while, so I'm going to struggle to remember perhaps what's new and what's not, so you'll have to guide me on that.
Pretty much every gun that we're going to look at today is new or we've not shared.
I definitely didn't recognise this. This feels autocannon adjacent.
So it's the autocannon's big brother. They've taken all of the, or it feels like they've taken all of the automation bit out of the autocannon Sentry and shoved a bigger gun on it, which is why you need to pilot it yourself now.
That is a big gun. You don't need the Keeper of Firearms Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history, to tell you that that is a big gun. By which I mean it has a gigantic tapered barrel on it. The sort of jaunty little feed arm loading mechanism is maybe a bit implausible as to how it can so deftly just slap a new shell up into the mechanism, but hey, it's the future. In space. Why not? Still love the shells spinning out of the shell cases, I should say, spinning out of the breech. Looks cool. Big old brake on there. I think they've probably modeled the gun barrel and brake on, I don't know, a Sherman tank gun, something of that nature. Something with a brake. I'm actually not sure the barrel looks hefty enough for how huge the shells are, but that might be that probably is a perspective thing actually. It's heavy where it needs to be at the back.
Just like me.
Very good. It's really, the closest thing I can think of is some sort of deck-mounted 30-40mm gun from an earlier era where you sit on it and you steer it, bofers, that kind of thing. But that's not how the gun works. The gun doesn't work like one of those. Yeah, it's kind of its own thing. Seems plausible enough for what we're doing here.
So we've looked at the AR-23 Liberator before, back when Helldivers first came out, but that was before they added weapon customization, so I thought what better gun to showcase some of that than the default Helldivers gun. So now weapons have an array of sights, muzzle devices, underbarrel devices, magazines, and it has really, really changed how versatile the arsenal is. Like if you want a higher magazine capacity, but you like the ergonomics or the penetration of the default Liberator, you can earn that higher magazine capacity by unlocking the drum magazine.
As much as I'm not necessarily huge on crafting and customization, I tend to find a configuration I like or that is realistic for the setting and sort of stick with it. If there's a reward there and in this setting I'm not going to be so precious about it and I'll try whatever works. I guess I'm only now realizing that was sort of missing from the game before. More meaningful stuff to spend your hard-earned points on, I guess.
One really tiny detail that I was sort of surprised to see is that because you can change the muzzle device, flash hider, brake, compensator, the no attachment option has an actual thread protector on the barrel.
I didn't notice that.
And it's one of those tiny things that the Arrowhead does. They add these tiny, tiny details that we've missed before and commenters have pointed out and people have gone like really deep into them. It's like they've gone through the effort of putting a thread protector on, whereas in reality, if you're using a default Liberator, how often are you going to see the little bit of barrel pointing out the end of that in gameplay? Never.
Yeah, never. If anything, if I had to reach for a criticism, I'd say this just makes them even more feel like present day weapons. It's making them feel less like something from something other. It's not in any way implausible. Of course, why wouldn't we have at least the level of customization we have now in this future? We would. So I think this customization is needed. The sight I'm looking at the moment, I have to say, looks rather fragile. I'm guessing there's been a major leap in materials technology such that when you accidentally knock that on a door jamb, it doesn't bend double or crack or whatever. And I'm hoping that these changes, it sounds like they do, really do make a difference to how they handle, which matters more in a game than in real life, if anything. How do you feel like the customization changes the gameplay side of things?
Depending on like who you're fighting, different options definitely matter more. So again, like Terminids, I found larger magazines being more helpful. Enemies that have like the automatons, where their weak point is their head, being able to use compensators to make the recoil more predictable, so you can stay on head level.
Yeah, I got the sense that you were able to score those headshots, well, maybe at a faster rate at least.
Or even if I need to land subsequent hits on the same weak spot, having that compensator to allow me to stay on that weak spot is super helpful.
Now, I don't get to show you too many guns when we're dealing with games like this. However, I believe what they went for, and this was introduced not too long, right toward the end of my last major play stint, the Constitution. And as the description says, this is supposed to be a kind of cultural rite of passage type thing, a service weapon of an earlier era, which kind of implies some sort of parallel timeline, because the weapon here is actually a straightforward bolt-action rifle, but it's very sci-fi if you look at it. The one I'm holding is what I believe it to be based on, at least in principle, which is the Springfield 1903. This one has a bayonet on the end, which of course was integral to the quote-unquote weapon system when this thing was originally introduced. Outnumbered in the First World War by the British Enfield in 30-06, but still an iconic American rifle. I'd say surpassed by the Garand. I suspect they didn't want to go with the M1 Garand because it's too similar to other weapons in the game. They wanted something that was visibly and playably primitive. I'm glad I left the bayonet on this one because I couldn't remember, having not played with this weapon. It appeared just before I sort of lapsed with the game. I will be back. I didn't remember if they had implemented the bayonet or not, but I should have guessed that they did because we have bayonets for other weapons. I'd say the bayonet on this suffers slightly from what some of the modern day British bayonets very much suffer from. So there is a bayonet for the L129A1 sharpshooter rifle, but it mounts to the bottom rail, so the blade is like halfway, doesn't stick all the way out. This thing sticks all the way forward of the muzzle in terms of the blade. But hey, you've still got some pointiness going on. It's very bold to bayonet charge giant robots and or alien creatures.
Especially as the robots are now wielding flamethrowers.
I know, I'm struggling with having just seen you successfully one-shot bayonet kill an automaton, I'm thinking how the hell that would work. It's just a blade at the end of the day. What is it hitting that makes it kind of partially disintegrate and die immediately? I mean, I think that one had been damaged already, hadn't it, to be fair, but still. Steel blades don't go very well into hyper-alloy combat chassis. We don't know what they're made of, but I'm guessing they're more robust. I mean, they tank gunfire, so, well, to some extent. The high-speed thumbing always amuses me. This is a real backward step. So the 03 Springfield, when it came in, had a charger guide, a stripper clip guide. You stick your 5 rounds in one go. Close it up. This locks open, by the way, on the empty platform. And you're good to go. So this obligating you to load the round singly is, well, let's just say very ceremonial, to the point of, actually, this is not how you do it. You would be feeding this thing with clips.
Super quickly, but just a reminder that our Patreon is currently half price, and if you're enjoying this episode, there is an extended edition over there that you can enjoy now for 50% off. By becoming a patron, you also get access to over 25 other extended and bonus episodes, as well as early access to all of our other episodes, as well as podcasts, Discord access, and you can submit your own game or movie clips for future community episodes. But whether you join the Patreon or watch along here on YouTube, I want to say thank you for all of your support, thank you for watching these episodes, and now I will get back to the video.
This is very fun. Big old blocky lever action with a separate loading gate and ejection port. So we're really looking at, and the pivot of the lever. We're looking here at a Marlin-inspired gun. Probably the 95 model.
This is from their sort of cowboy-styled, bounty hunter-inspired frontiersman war bond. And it slaps. It's probably one of my favourite primaries now.
Well, it certainly looks good. The rate of fire seems really quite high for a lever action. Pretty speedy. And I think we see there why the Constitution was being animated from lower down, because you are either hip firing or you're in first person aiming mode. People did do this with bolt actions. They fire them from anywhere from the waist up, sighting over the gun if they're at close range. I kind of retract my complaint on the bolt action. The lever action, I mean, it's like all the guns in this game, it's maybe a bit too big and bulky, but I'm going to say that they've lightened materials up. In reality, I think that's a hangover from the aesthetic of the top-down first game, where everything was big and bold and cartoony. It's cool, and scope and rails on it is perfectly legit because we have modern Marlins and other lever actions like Winchesters that are set up that way, typically because they're getting used for things like hunting, where you do need that magnification. I like the design from a point of view of we've got it's a little bit mullet in terms of it's Western in the back, sci-fi in the front, with that big square ventilated forend that goes all the way to the muzzle. That makes it look radically different from basically almost any modern lever action. Some of these with full-length rails on them are getting close to this, and may have inspired it. The cartridges on the outside of the weapon, because you don't have that box magazine, you want ready ammunition to be able to top it up. That's cool.
I'm glad that they actually disappear when your ammo pool gets low. There's no animation of actually taking them off and putting them in, but there's a lot of games that will cosmetically add rounds to a weapon, but you'll be able to fire the weapon till empty and the rounds still be there. I like the fact that the weapon model actually does change depending on your ammo count. It would be nicer if there was an animation for it, but I can see why there isn't, and it's still a cool little detail.
Right, we are onto what looks a lot like some sort of minigun chain gun thing. In fact, I seem to remember something from a Doom game or something else where it had a buttstock and grip like this, but out front it looked like a minigun. But this is telling me it's a volley gun. It's not firing like a volley gun, at least not at the moment.
So this weapon has a bunch of different modes. You've got sequential barrel by barrel. You've got all the barrels one shot at once. Or, similar to the Metal Storm idea, you've got every piece of ammo in the gun all at once.
Well, I guess the main shtick with Metal Storm was that it was firing very, very rapidly. So it's all sort of all at once, discharged all at once, but almost, in a chain fire scenario. This thing is in that volley mode, and I'm sure other people have made this connection, quite a bit like the old flintlock or later percussion knock volley gun, made by Henry Knock and design iterated by Henry Knock, but originally invented by a Royal Marine captain to take out sharpshooters in land combat. Ended up using it from ship to ship. My conception of this is very much like a modern 12 gauge with double-aught buck, more like a combat buckshot firing shotgun. So like a chest size pattern at out to 20 meters, something like that, very, very roughly. Now this thing goes well beyond a volley gun in that you've got these, and it seems like you've got different rates of discharge as well.
Yeah, you can change the rate of fire in automatic.
So there you go. So this seems, I'm starting to wonder why you would use anything but this. There must be reasons in game, because you've got the ability to go shotgun effect with seemingly some good effect, and then sort of do semi and auto as well, or at least different rates of auto. I guess capacities and reload is the main limiting factor.
So you see me, we're about to switch to the total mode, and that's every piece of ammunition all at once.
Knocks you on your ass, yes. Yeah, so it's something I've meant to go back to and really try and confirm the primary sources and everything is a story I was told about the knock volley gun, which is that with its original powder charge, it would dislocate shoulders. And so they backed off the powder charge in each chamber, so it was still having the desired effect, but it was no longer such a beast to shoot.
If you fire it in total mode sequentially, you'll break your arm.
My arm!
I wonder if someone's read the same thing I found about allegedly the knock gun dislocating shoulders and extrapolated that to a broken arm. I don't think I've ever heard of a firearm breaking someone's arm. I don't know, but another fun limiting factor. You've got experimental weapons that blow up. Well, this one works just fine, but you shoot it too much, it'll damage you.
So to set up this upcoming clip, I was playing last night and a few folks recognized my username, realized what I was there to do, and kindly agreed to demonstrate some of the weapons for me.
Fun times.
Yeah, we discovered something about this.
Oh, wow. Now this is experimental. This is science right here.
That's what we were doing. We weren't messing about, we were doing science.
This is empirical science. That's good though, because it shows that the physics are sort of baked into the code of the game. They're not kind of just triggering an animation per se, or at least they have accounted for different firing angles and stuff. That's really funny.
Yeah, we had financial regulation dropping variables for everyone to demonstrate. Rackle kindly dropped me his fully upgraded Liberator so I could try out some of the attachments. And Dagster was very, very keen to be my weapon guinea pig. So appreciate those guys for helping out last night. It was very fun.
Well, having played a lot with people with way more time in the game than me, I'm a bit of a gun goblin. So when someone
picking
dies,
up the good stuff.
Oh, I'm never going to unlock that.
Heavy, northwest, close.
Reload! Get some! Get some!
Calling a gun the Pacifier is a very Helldivers thing to do. Seeing the scale of the gun in the game and the vibe they're going for with less than lethal, this is really more of an AK shotgun derived idea, I think. Like a competition Saiga or something with a big break. It's still, or like the Origin 12 even, like a longer barreled Origin 12. That is essentially an AK mechanically as well. And this one actually, you see the gas block up front as well. So it isn't just the working parts, it's the whole thing. So big chunky Kalashnikov inspired. Although the cases coming out are normal rifle cases, cartridge cases, not shotgun. Normally it's shotguns that lend themselves to less lethal applications, including the X-Rep taser shotgun, which actually shoots a mini taser cartridge. It's a better platform for projectiles that won't necessarily go into you and kill you, oddly enough, than a rifle. Lower velocity, bigger projectile as well. So if it's a beanbag round or a flying taser, it's a better place to start. So although this looks a bit like a Saiga or an Origin 12 or something, it's kind of more like just a 7.62 AK derived rifle that they're telling you is less lethal.
Because it adds a stun effect to the enemies, which is important when going up against the big bots and bugs, because it allows someone else to come up and use something a bit more damaging, or locks them in place for a stratagem to take them down. So that's the sort of niche it fills.
I suppose I will say, like thinking again about the normal cartridge case with a shoulder and a neck, looking pretty normal. We do, of course, have things like the StA-52 ACR. Didn't actually have a normal cartridge case, but there are other, or like the APS Underwater Assault Rifle, normal-ish cases projecting essentially dart-type projectiles. You can, in fact, load with a sort of sabot, some sort of dart projectile into a case. And if you want it to have enough capacity in terms of the medicine, shall we say, that's in there, toxin, whatever, then you're going to need a big ball rifle size case. So it's not in the universe that we're looking at. It's not really implausible by any means.
So this is a weird one. This is actually a gun from Killzone. There was a Killzone Helldivers 2 collaboration where they brought in a few Killzone weapons and cosmetics. This is one of those. So I think it's a Hellgast weapon, technically, that some Helldivers have got their hands on.
Okay, and I am getting, although it's pretty different. I'm getting a Croatian VHS 2 rifle vibe, but it looks more like, well, it has like an integral drum mag, so I guess more of a bullpup shotgun inspiration. The exposed spring on the top is really disturbing. Don't enjoy that. I also don't enjoy why it has a top cover that pops up. Why would it need that for a drum magazine?
Yeah, I can't tell if it's a drum magazine or well, it couldn't be a belt box because they're not pulling the round up into the feeding mechanism, are they?
Not unless we hypothesize some sort of servo feed dragging the belt into the gun, but then, yeah, I don't think so. I think it's just reload interest so that something pops up and you slap it down so it looks cool. Yeah, it does feel a bit kind of Halo, Starship Troopers mishmash.
This sort of fits in quite well against the other Helldivers weapons. The aesthetics and mechanics aren't so different that it really stands out to an awkward degree.
No, I wouldn't. Having never played Killzone, I would have just assumed this was just a different take on a Helldivers gun, to be honest.
Obviously, it's been a long time since we've had a Killzone, but I think Arrowhead's done a really great job of bringing some of those aesthetics and inspirations of the real gun, enhancing them for 2024, 2025. This is very Dredd adjacent.
Oh, it really is. I mean, I'm not a huge 2000 AD person, but I'd like to think I would have got the Lawgiver reference had you not preempted it.
This feels like it's its own thing. It's like, it definitely has that vibe. It's a bit like a gyrojet pistol with rocket-assisted munition, but it's got guidance system that does a very, very slight lock-on. So you can see where the optic folds down, that's when you're shooting it unguided, and when it flips back up, you can use it guided.
Cool idea. Obviously a bit silly because you're going to want the optic regardless of which mode you're shooting in, but at least you have a good visual indicator of which mode you're in, I guess. Could have done it with a readout or something, but no, I would have, when you said Lawgiver, I thought, oh yeah, it looks like how I would imagine someone's take on Dredd's pistol to look like. I didn't think about the fact that it actually functions somewhat similarly to that idea.
Yeah, it's got some interesting nuance because the tracking will lock onto center mass, which is fine, except when there's enemies that like have a shield or in cover. Then the lock-on becomes a detriment because it's not actually letting you hit the bit that's exposed. So then you switch to unguided and you can do those more precise shots. But here, when I'm using a shield, the guided munitions are super helpful because I could stay behind that shield and just trust the gun to land the hits for me.
Interesting. So this is where this system is behind the state of the art because, well, more than one system does this, but one I was able to try out recently, it's using AI, yeah, I know, to, rather than just identify what center mass is and default your reticle to there, you tag whatever you want to shoot at and it will try and do that for you. So if you wanted a headshot, you tag the head and it would go that and it would lock onto the head of the target, in theory at least. Now obviously you can set something like that up to do it the way this is doing it. It's quite possible over decades, centuries, whatever it is of warfare with that sort of sighting system, only really on this gun. They've realized that no AI, or maybe they just hate AI and don't want to use AI and they're using some other way of doing it.
Well, with the automatons as an enemy, it probably puts them off a little bit.
I know. But they have to have some way of doing what they're doing and targeting center mass. How is it knowing to target center mass? If that's not an AI onboard processor, it's got to be something else. Maybe it's just electronic and not using AI per se. Define AI, I guess. But yeah, this type of technology, not guiding the bullet to the target, although DARPA did experiment with that about 15 years ago, I think it was now. But disturbed reticle shooting, where it uses laser rangefinder, sometimes even weather is taken into account, although it can't do it at the target necessarily. All of the factors you need to think about as a shooter are calculated, and it will move the reticle to where you need to move your aiming point to hit the thing you're trying to hit. Multiple sites exist that do that. Yeah, they're all trying to do the job of the shooter for the shooter. So it's an interesting time to be watching this stuff.
So this is another Killzone weapon, the W.A.S.P launcher. So it's got two different functions, the multi-stage small munition, or you can airburst from above firing the whole thing. But it requires lock-on, so it's got some strategic use.
I just saw the airburst. That's very cool. Reminiscent of some of the airburst munitions for things like the Carl Gustav recoilless weapon. They go over cover and then airburst in almost like not this, but almost like a cluster bomb. Is how it sort of looks, and it's peppering the ground below with projectiles essentially. That's sort of what that's not how this works, obviously. They fly there and then they go down, but that's what it felt like.
Reloading you!
Yeah, well, unsurprisingly, they've done it again and come up with some fun new weapons that don't rehash, what's come before. They've even managed to borrow some stuff from another franchise and make that work. Yeah, I can't complain. New and fun ways to kill aliens and get killed by aliens. What's not to like?
I think that's the recruitment poster for being a Helldiver.
Yeah, they just need to be even more honest about what's going on.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Stalwart Helldiver, for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more, and let us know in the comment section down below what games, movies, TV shows, or beyond you'd like to see on the show. As always, a massive shout out goes to all of our supporters over on Patreon for helping the channel grow, supporting EXP, and helping us do more content like this. Links to support Jonathan and the Royal Armouries will be in the description below, so be sure to check those out. But until we see each other again in the next episode, thank you again for watching, and we will see you real soon. What happens if you shoot it into the floor? Do you go up?
Yeah. We can jump somewhere.
That's so good.